Hello, namaskar. It's very nice to see such a large gathering of women, and I'm honored here to present something to you today. And thank you, Vicky and Flo and Young Flo, for the invitation. Now, let me give you some background. First of all, I want lots of clapping because it increases the energy of the room multiple times. And then I will start with a chant. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet. अगर उसको हिंदी में कहा जाए तो हे नाथ सब सुखी हो, कोई न हो दुखारी, सब हो निरोगी भगवन, धन धान्य के भंडारी, सब भद्र भाव देखें, सन्मार्ग के पथिक हो, दुखिया न कोई होवे, सृष्टि में प्राणधारी. So this is a wellness conclave, and the WHO definition of wellness includes not just the absence of disease and disability, but also mental, spiritual, and social well-being. So I think you'll hear a lot of things about how we are empowering, how government is empowering various sectors in female, financially, health-wise, and economically as well. But here I will like to pay a tribute to a lady who had a special place in my heart, my wife, Sujata Gupta. She was a lawyer, and she was a top lawyer in London, but then she developed cancer about 10 years ago, and she had multiple surgeries. She had lots of chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and lots of treatment, but she went through everything very courageously and always smiling. So I've got a great regard for women, and with a special tribute to Sujata, I will just tell you a little bit how I came to write this book, which is Science in Sanskrit Scriptures. It's available outside. I'm a surgeon. I'm a plastic surgeon. From All India Institute, I went to London and Oxford and trained in plastic surgery, became fellow of Royal College of Surgeons. And 10 years ago, I was invited to Harvard in the leadership program. Only 15 people from the world were invited, and I was the only one from UK. And there, a few days into the program, my wife said she wanted to go to a temple. So we found an ISKCON temple in Boston, and we went there. And there was a havan going on there. So we sat down. They said, oh, this is a Brahma Samhita havan going on. Please have a seat. So we sat down, and I started looking at the translation, and as I looked and read it, it just transformed my thinking, because here I was reading a book of astrophysics, and things which were being described there some of them have only come to be known to the modern science in last 100 years, and we've had this knowledge for at least 5,500, 6,000 years. So I'll just start with one of the most important shloka that I come across from a scientific point of view, and this will interest the younger crowd, because when I wrote the book recently, I had this shloka in mind. So we know that Earth goes around the sun, and 8 planets go around the sun, but the sun, along with all its planets, goes round the center of galaxy. This we only came to know 100 years ago in the modern science. Where it says, I'll now quote the shloka from Brahma Samhita. It goes like, Yat chakshur esha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta sura murti ashesh teja yasya agyaya brahmati sambrato kal chakro govindam adipurusham tamam bhajami. And this is a prayer of Brahmaji to Lord Shri Krishna when the Srishti is created. And what is being said here? Yat chakshuresha, like a divine eye in the sky, in the antariksh, savita, surya, sakal grahanam, with all its planet, sambrato kal chakro, goes round in its own orbit. And this is an amazing shloka, written thousands and thousands of years ago, in antiquity, in fact. So, not only that, they describe the speed with which the sun is rotating, and they observed the sun for 760 million miles, 760 million miles, and quoted the speed of sun to be 480,000 miles an hour in its orbit. And this is Lakshotram Sardhanavkati Yojanam Parimandalam Bhuvalasya Sagovyotram Dvisahastra Yojam Sabhankate. So in this shloka, this is what I've just told you, that over a period of 760 million miles, the speed of sun was calculated to be 480,000 miles per hour, and this is very much near the speed of rotation of sun that we know now. So these are some of the facts, and I'll tell you something about Gita. Now, Gita is the biggest motivational manual in the whole world. It was given to the teachings were given to Arjuna when he was completely down and out. He was such a big warrior, and he came down with he couldn't do anything, he couldn't fight the war. So what did Krishna tell him that made him do his duty? So that's what Gita is all about. But there are lots of scientific facts in Gita as well, and I'll give you one example. Krishna says, Sahastrayug paryantam auryat brahmano vidu ratrim yug sahastrantam teho ratri vidu jana. Now listen to this, a small mantra, but how elaborate the meaning is. So, Sahastra Yuga Paryantam. Here we are talking about a yuga which is aggregation of the four yugas, which is Sat Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga, which comes to 4.32 million years. And 1,000 such, so multiply 1,000, this comes to 4.32 billion years. And such is the duration of night. So 4.32 plus 4.32 is 8.64 billion years. Know that to be the day of Brahma. Te ahoratri vidujana. Ahoryat brahmano vidu. This is the one day of Brahma is 8.64 billion years. And Brahma lives for 100 years. You multiply 100 times 360 times 8.64 billion, it comes to, some of you have already started putting it in the calculator, it comes to 311 trillion 40 billion years. 311 trillion 40 billion years. This is the one kalpa cycle. And this is in Gita. And Krishna says about kalpa, and he says ki at the end of kalpa, everything comes into me. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam. Every living being, everything in Prakriti comes into me, kalpakshay, at the end of kalpa. Kalpaddau punastani visrajamyam. And when the new kalp starts, then I recreate this over and over again. And this recycling of universe is now currently they are thinking that way. So I think this is amazing science in Sanskrit scriptures, and that is, and as I read more and more over 10 years, I came to know that this is full of science. So I put medicine and surgery. medicine and surgery. So Sushruta was one of the famous surgeons 2,500 years ago in Kashi, and he wrote a book called Sushruta Samhita, 186 chapters, and I presented my findings on Sushruta at the Royal College of Surgeons, and I got a standing ovation because for the first time I showed very clearly by explaining his shlokas that he was the father of plastic surgery and also surgery, and he described Ayurveda in great details. And he described the first ever flap which we use in plastic and reconstructive surgery, and he used the term Sanubandhena Jivita, that which is alive by its connection, and which is still the definition of a flap even today. And he described hundreds of instruments, he described how to clean the theaters, what sutures to use, how to train doctors, great detail. Sushruta Samhita reads like a modern textbook of medicine and surgery. It's amazing how much science we had. Mathematics, we were talking about zero. So if I tell you the origin of zero, you'll be amazed. This is how Aryabhatta discovered it. No, Aryabhatta did not discover it. This has been there for us since time immemorial. And I'll give you the exact shloka from Isha Upanishad. And you must have heard it and be chanting as well. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avishishyate. So that is complete, this is complete, complete taken out, complete arises from complete, complete taken out of complete, complete remains. And I said that this shloka represents the origin of zero, because when you talk about numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, infinity, and then it comes back to the same point, because circle, any point denotes the origin and the end. So it was denoted with a zero, so all the numbers from infinity coming back to the same place. So it's all circular, and circular, cyclic, everything, earth goes round, sun, it has to be cyclic. And also, you take out any number from any number. So you take 1 out of 1, it says 0. Take 3 out of 3, it's 0. But if you take 0 out of 0, it's 0. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. So this also holds true in mathematics. And similarly, we had Vimanas, and we had missiles, and I have given all the shlokas corresponding to that, from Srimad Bhagavad Puran, from Gita, from Isha Upanishad, Brahma Samhita. So I would urge all the people to actually try and read this book, which will be of immense knowledge to empower, because we are talking about Bharat being Vishwaguru, and we have to reclaim that by saying that whatever was said thousands and thousands of years ago in our scriptures was completely scientific. Thank you very much.